Everything began in distant 1959 when the interests of the national economy and the armed forces came together, which needed the transportation of one-piece cargoes over 20 tons with the use of vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, and the Mil Design Bureau, in which then the MI-6 heavyweights were not considered the pioneers of the progress. The Mil Design Bureau was able to present convincing arguments in the reality of construction of a super heavy helicopter, and on 3rd May 1962 the Council of Ministers of the USSR issued a decree on the development of V-12 with a cargo cabin similar to the cargo cabin of the giant AN-22 aircraft designed by Antonova. The assignment of the design of the helicopter for transport of non-load cargoes of 25 tons was issued not with the aim of hitting the world or wiping the nose of the Americans. This was the most important state task. It was necessary to provide the potential for a retaliatory nuclear strike in any scenario of conflict with the United States. But in the early 1960s, rocket missile complex were only being created, and the hope for submarines and strategic bombers in the conditions of total dominance of the potential enemy in the oceans and surrounding aerospace was rather elusive. Calculations showed that a sudden nuclear strike across the USSR would become disarming. It was intended to be used as a complement to the Antonov AN-22 heavy transport aircraft, which by operational necessity could not directly approach the battlefield. Instead of landing the AN-22 too close to the battlefield, cargo would be relayed by the giant helicopter capable of carrying heavy loads. After the creation of the largest in the world helicopter Mi-6, the chief designer by no means considered it exhausted of the possibility for further increase in sizes and load capacity of helicopters. National economy and especially armed forces frequently needed the transportation of non-detachable loads with a mass more than 20 tons. With the aid of the flight vehicles for vertical takeoff and landing, the first studies on the creation of the super heavy helicopter, which received designation V-12, MI-12 or Article 65, began in OKB in 1959 after 2 years of the Chairman of State Committee for Aviation Equipment P.V. Dementil officially affirmed the task for study of helicopters by the load capacity 20 of 25 tons. Because of the danger of collision of the 5-blade rotors, they arranged with the minimum overlap. In connection with this, fuselage came out bulky and longer. A fundamental deficiency in the layout consisted in the fact that the air ducts of rear-paired engines were located in the zone of the exhausts of front power plant. Appeared the danger of the surge of engines. The analysis of the special feature of longitudinal configuration showed that it led to the values of the service ceiling, speed and rate of climb, impossibility to continue flight with the failure of 2 engines, and sharp worsening in the flight performances of the ceiling service, and with an increase in temperature of surrounding air, and also a number of other undesirable consequences. Therefore, it was necessary to reject this special configuration. On the solution, Mil began a study of other layouts. The single rotor designs were the most studied. The experience of the tests of helicopter V-7 made it necessary to exclude the layout with the blade tip drive, which seemed initially to offer large load capacity. With the retention of the power drive, the problem of the design of the main rotor gearbox became complex. Designers attempted to solve it after arranging 2 main rotor gearboxes from the Mi-6, one above others with the drive to one general shaft. The rotor with a diameter of 38 meters was assembled of 8 blades from the Mi-6 on the root tips of the increased length. However, the creation of the main rotor gearbox of the layout within a limited period proposed was improbable. Then the idea of the free turbine of large diameter with the vertically located shaft arose. Turbine had to be located under the main rotor gearbox on the common vertical axis. The gas generator of the engine was connected with the turbine by gas conductor Ulita. In this case, the construction of the main rotor gearbox significantly simplified because of the absence of bevel gears, but the production of slow turbine with a diameter of 4.5 meters required also sufficiently much time. After the completion of the assembling, the first flying copy underwent frequency tests directly to assembly shop. They hung it up on the shock cords to special portals, the imitators of blades and vibrators established on the rotor hubs. On June 27, 1967, test pilot Koloshenko for the first time raised V-12 onto the air from the plant area in Pankar. But instead of applauding, Those present at the factory site in Pankow outside Moscow witnessed a flight accident. The heavy machine, having made several fluctuations at low altitude, hit the main support of the landing gear on the ground. So at the price of broken chassis, it was possible to detect the type of auto-oscillations of the control system construction circuit, known before in helicopter construction. In sight of numerous spectators, among whom was located the design project leader, the rotary wing giant, after completing several fluctuations at a small height, roughly landed on one wheel. Damages were insignificant. Pneumatic tire and wheel rims was destroyed. However, emergency served as occasion for the appearance in the foreign press of information about allegedly the occurred destruction of the helicopter. In flight was noted the new unknown earlier form of auto-oscillation of the type system control construction. They were its reasons: the kinematic constraint of control knob with the flight deck, through the hand of pilot, and also agreement of the natural frequencies of oscillation of the control run and construction of helicopter. New dynamic phenomenon was analyzed, and after insignificant structural modifications it is rapidly removed by an increase in the hardness of the control system. To get rid of this defect, it was possible having made the wiring of the helicopter control system more rigid. At the same time, additional keels appeared on the stabilizer. In this form, the machine began vertical lifts in the air in the December of the same year. On February 22, 1969, in the course of official tests, the crew of VP Koloshenko established the absolute world record of load capacity. After rising 31 tons to the height of 2.35 kilometers, and on August 6, the same year it was fixed in a new salient reaching of the Soviet helicopter construction. The crew of VP Koloshenko on the V-12 raised a load of 40.2 tons to the height of 2.25 kilometers. This record it was not overlapped until now, and hardly in the next decades will appear the rotary wing apparatus capable of competing with this giant, created by Mill. In all, V-12 established 7 world records. For the creation of the heavy helicopter V-12 OKB Mill, the second time it was rewarded with the Sikorsky Prize by the American Helicopter Society for the salient achievements in the helicopter technology. Even the famous American C-130 Hercules could not compete with this giant. In 1971, the V-12 successfully was demonstrated in the 29th International Saloon of Aviation and Cosmonautics in Le Bourget in Paris, where it was acknowledged as the star of saloon. The demonstration flights in Paris, Copenhagen and Berlin followed. In foreign press, they were enraptured by the new reaching of the Soviet helicopter construction. Heaviest in the world, helicopter MI-12 darkens almost all other exhibits. This giant, according to the sizes, is more than double, and by weight is more than 4 times exceeded the American very heavy helicopter Sikorsky SN-57 Boeing Vertol Chinook. It is said that during the years of creation and testing of the V-12, Tishenko Mikhail, Mill's successor, reversed his views on the B-12 and came to the conclusion that the task assigned to this machine can largely be solved with using a prospective single-rotor helicopter, which later became the Mi-26. The Mi-26 is the world's second largest helicopter overall, and the largest ever to go into production, as well as the largest flying today. How large the helicopters described above are the fact that no other helicopter exceeds the maximum weight of 35,000 lbs. The majority of helicopters are indeed quite small next to these giants, since there is more relatively little demand for such enormous vehicles compared to one moderately sized designs. Yet even among these giants, the size differential between them is hard to comprehend.